Darkness. It swallowed everything. No stars. No wind. No sound. Only breath. Ragged. Measured. Human. The drop pod screamed as it tore through the atmosphere, flames licking the metal shell like the jaws of a furnace. Inside, one figure. Alone. Eyes closed. Heart pounding. Pulse steady. They called her Mira. No rank. No title. Just Mira, because names were enough when fear had already given up. Above her, high in orbit, they watched. The alien observers. Their vision filtered through crystalline lenses, breath fogging up slick glass as they huddled in silence. This was a test. A scouting report had come from the lower moon. Apex predator discovered. No natural weaknesses. Unstoppable. Requires immediate containment. 3 species had tried. 3 had failed. Now, they sent her. Not a battalion. Not a drone fleet. Just a human. The aliens didn't understand. Not yet. Not the ferro-precision. Not the brutality coded into Earth's DNA. Not the reason humans had no apex predators left of their own. Because humans became them. Impact. The pod exploded through the treetops like a meteor. Shredded branches spun into the sky. Earth cracked. Then, silence. Steam hissed from the ruptured seams. The door ejected, clanged against rock. She stepped out. No armor. No exosuit. No gun. Just scarred knuckles, calloused palms, and eyes that didn't blink. The forest was wrong. Too still. Too quiet. No birds. No insects. Like the trees themselves were holding their breath. She sniffed the air. Once. Blood. Old, but not human. She moved. Every step calculated. Measured. Silent. She belonged here. The apex? It didn't. High above, the alien observers began to murmur. She has no weapon. Is she scanning the area? What is she doing? No one answered, because deep down they were already afraid. Not for her, but for it. 3 miles in, she found the first remains. What was left of a Browder scout, a species known for their acidic blood and reinforced bone. Its chest had been crushed inward, from the outside, not bitten, not slashed, smashed. She crouched beside it, ran a finger along the broken sternum, examined the blood, dried, 2 days old. Whatever did this was close. She kept walking, faster now. The wind changed, and with it, the scent, not blood, breath. It was hunting her. Good. She wanted it that way. They built it in a lab. Engineered perfection. Claws like obsidian sides. Muscle density 4 times baseline. Eyes adapted for ultraviolet and thermal. It had no fear, no memory of pain, no concept of mercy, just hunger. And right now, it was watching her from a canopy. It thought it was above her. It was wrong. Mira stopped in the clearing. Kneeling, she picked up a rock, turned it in her hand. Then she closed her eyes and waited. The apex dropped in silence. 50 feet. No sound. It descended like death incarnate, until her hand snapped up and caught it by the throat. Midair. Caught it. The alien screamed. She shouldn't be able to. That's impossible. But there it was. A creature bred for destruction, held in the air by one human arm. It thrashed. Claws slashed. She didn't flinch. Instead, she pulled it down and slammed it into the ground. Once, twice, bone cracked. Then she moved, faster than any of them had ever seen. Her fingers drove into the soft spot under its jaw, shoved in deep. The beast howled, blood sprayed, but she didn't stop. She roared, not in rage, not in fear, in dominion. Then she tore its jaw clean off. Silence. The forest, the sky, the orbiting ship, all silent, except for the sound of her breath. Steady, controlled. She rose, covered in its blood, breathing in through her nose. The corpse twitched, then stilled. It was dead. It didn't matter what they engineered in the lab. It didn't matter what it was supposed to be. It had never faced her. And yet, she turned, her body tensed, head tilted, because she felt something more, a second presence, something deeper in the woods, watching, waiting. She wasn't finished. Not yet, because this wasn't the apex. It was a scout. Her voice cracked through the clearing, gravelly, barely more than a whisper. You sent a runt. She dropped the jawbone on the forest floor, let it land with a thud, send its mother next. It wasn't over, not even close. She knew it, and so did they. High above, the alien observers no longer stood still. They paced, argued, sweated in silence. That one was over 4 meters tall. Its skin could stop plasma. She ripped its skull apart with her hands. They didn't understand. They still didn't understand. That wasn't strength. That was discipline. That was control. The kind forged in fire, in grief, in war. Mira didn't kill for pleasure. She killed because something needed to end. And now, there was still something left. The trees whispered, low, uneasy, the scent of pine mixed with rot, earth and ozone. She followed the trail. Deeper, darker. It wasn't blood this time. It was pheromones, territorial markings. The real apex was calling her, marking her, challenging. She smiled. They bred it in zero gravity. No sunlight, no exposure to weakness. It had never known predators, never known hunger. It had been fed, worshipped, unleashed. Now it waited in a ravine thick with fog, a cave system older than memory. She walked straight in, no hesitation, no light, just instinct, and the sound of water dripping, slow, deliberate, like a countdown. Behind her, in orbit, the alien ship turned all attention to the cave, tracking, zooming, recording. One scientist whispered, trembling, "We should abort." But another answered, "No." They wanted to see it, all of it. She stepped into the dark, let it surround her, like old friends returning from war. The air changed, warmed, not natural. Breath. She crouched behind a jagged stone, ran her hand through the dust. Still warm. Then she stopped breathing. For just a second, not from fear, from focus. It moved. She didn't look, didn't flinch, just listened. A scrape, a low rumble, the echo of claws across ancient bone. She turned slowly, saw nothing, but she knew it was above, watching, sizing her up. She whispered, "Come on," and then it dropped. They'd built this one to finish wars. Spinal reinforcements, tactical intelligence, infrared fusion sight. It hit the ground like a tank. 6 limbs, armor-plated chest, and eyes that glowed with engineered purpose. It snarled. But Mira, she didn't move, didn't run, didn't scream. She simply stood up and took off her jacket, let the bloodied cloth fall behind her. Now they could see her body, covered in scars, burns, torn flesh reknitted by time and pain. Every inch of her told a story. Every mark said the same thing. I survived worse. The beast charged, faster than anything alive should move. But Mira didn't step back. She leaned in, let it come. It swung. She ducked. The claws missed by inches. She slid under its torso, came up behind, and punched, not the body, not the limbs, the throat, where the reinforced exoskeleton ended, where something still soft remained. Crack! The beast reeled, coughed, stumbled, and she didn't let up. 1, 2, 3 hits. Fast, precise, brutal. She leapt on its back, drove her fingers between vertebrae, twisted. The beast screamed, but not in pain, in confusion. This wasn't supposed to happen. The others died screaming, cried, begged. But this human, she didn't cry. She hunted. In orbit, they watched, mouths open, voices gone, frozen, because they saw something terrifying. Not just Mira, but what she represented. A species that evolved by enduring. That didn't stop when cornered. That adapted. Every scar a lesson. Every loss a weapon. The beast slammed its back into the cave wall, trying to crush her. She dropped low, rolled clear, came up with a shard of stone in hand. Not a blade. A tool. Improvised. And deadly. She leapt again. This time, she screamed. One word, one primal roar, and drove the shard into the base of its skull. All the way in, the beast convulsed, tried to throw her off, but she held on, grunting, growling, like an animal. No, like something worse, something human. Then it collapsed, face first, breath gone, chest still, dead, for real this time. She stood over it, blood-soaked, breathing hard, silent. Then she looked up, right into the sky, right at them, and for the first time, she spoke, clearly, loud enough that even Orbit heard the words. "You watching?" A pause. Then, "Send the next one." They didn't send another one, not right away. They debated first. Argued behind sealed doors of light and steel. Some called her an anomaly, a statistical outlier, human error. Others whispered, she is what they all become when pushed far enough. The silence after those words lasted longer than the War Council itself, because they knew they'd seen it before, not on battlefields, but in their histories, in the ruins of other worlds, where humans walked away, and monsters didn't. The lead xenobiologist, voice cracking, stared at the cave feed. She shouldn't be alive, but she was. Mira knelt beside the predator's corpse, not in reverence, not in mourning, in assessment, hands slick with blood, face unreadable. She studied the thing's jaw, joints, and talons, then took a chunk of its shattered bone and snapped it free, shaped it, sharpened it, strapped it to her arm using strips of its own flesh. A blade, a shield, a memory. When she stood, something had changed, not in her body, in her presence. Even the fog recoiled, like the forest itself recognized the evolution. She had crossed the threshold. Back in orbit, the observers finally made their call. Send Unit 13, gasps, stutters. A captain nearly dropped his datapad. But that thing hasn't been tested. It's still learning restraint. She tore apart our apex predator. Twice. If we unleash 13, we might not get it back. A pause. Then, that's the point. Deep below the surface, beneath even the bones of the earth, it woke. No orders, just intent. Built not for combat, but for reclamation. A hybrid, 1 part biological, 2 parts machine, and 1 fragment of something that should have stayed dead. Mira felt it before she heard it, a chill in her marrow, a pressure behind her eyes. Not sound, not movement, but presence, like being watched by memory. She turned her head. The forest had gone still. Even the wind refused to speak. Then it came. From the trees, a silhouette, smooth, wrong, almost human, but not, tall, elongated limbs, jointed fingers twitching with unnatural rhythm. Its skin shimmered in colors that didn't exist. Its head, split down the center with a vertical eye, glowing, watching, and beneath its translucent chest plate, a heart still beating, but not its own. She stepped forward, slow, measured, weapon in hand, eyes locked. She didn't blink, didn't breathe. It tilted its head, curious, not hostile, not yet. Then it mimicked her step, perfectly, like a reflection learning how to be real. They faced each other, two predators, one born from war, the other built to end it. The air trembled. She whispered, "Let's find out," and charged. The fight wasn't fast. It wasn't violent. It was surgical. Every strike blocked, every blow mirrored. It anticipated her like a ghost from her own past. But she adapted. That was her gift. Not strength, not fury. Evolution. She faked high, slashed low. The hybrid caught her wrist, spun her, threw her against a boulder. Crack, pain, blood. But she smiled, because it made a mistake. It hesitated. It checked to see if she was breathing. It cared, even just a little. She could use that. She rose, spitting crimson. No fear. She lunged, used her wounded arm as bait. It bit, grabbed it. Too late. She drove the predator bone blade into its side. Not armor. Under it, soft tissue, still biological. It screamed, a sound that fractured the sky. In orbit, the bridge shook, not physically, but in spirit. Dozens of aliens looked away. Some vomited. One fainted. They created 13 to end civilizations, to crush rebellion before it began. But they never tested it on. A mother, a soldier, a human. The battle didn't stop. It got worse. 13 bled. Mira staggered. Blows broke ribs. Flesh tore. Time became meaningless. Only motion remained. She fought like the sea, crashing, retreating, then returning with violence. They rolled into a gorge, down a slope slick with moss and bone. She landed first. Hard, vision blurred. 13 fell second, slammed into a stone spike, right through its chest. It shrieked, thrashed, tried to rise. But Mira was already on top of it, kneeling, staring into its trembling eye. She reached into her pocket, pulled something small. A photo, old, worn. Her daughter, smiling, alive. She held it up to the creature's face. Let's see what she fought for. Then whispered, "You don't win, not here," and crushed its eye with her thumb. The hybrid stopped moving. A final twitch, a low hum, then silence. She collapsed beside it, shaking, exhausted, broken, but breathing. And that meant everything. Up above, the war room was silent. No one spoke. No one moved. Until the highest-ranking general, who had lost 3 colonies to her kind, finally said, "Recall the scouts." "Why?" "Because if she survives this," he looked straight into the stars, "we don't want her coming up here. Silence, not peace, not safety, just the kind that follows a massacre, when all the screaming's done." Mira lay in the dirt, still, barely conscious, the hybrid's body beside her, smoking, its heart, stolen from another creature, pulsed one final time. Then, nothing. Her vision flickered. Gray, red, darkness. She didn't remember crawling. didn't feel the thorns tearing her palms, or the broken ribs grinding inside her chest. Only the weight of blood, of loss, of the photo clenched in her hand like a lifeline. She made it 10 feet, then fell, face first, into the mud. And this time, she didn't rise. Hours passed, or maybe days. Time stopped mattering when the planet stopped trying to kill her. The fog drifted, thinner now, as if in mourning. The forest didn't make a sound. Nothing hunted, nothing fed, because something far worse had won. Then, a sound, distant, mechanical, alien, a drone. It hovered above the tree-line, scanning. Bright red, ice sweeping through the wreckage. Then it found her, zoomed in, processed, verified. She was still alive. Barely. Somewhere in orbit, alarms triggered. One of the analysts looked up from his console. Target located. Another asked quietly, "Should we extract her?" The admiral didn't answer right away. Just stared out the viewing window at that cursed world where a single human had butchered their best weapons. No. His voice was low, final. Let her die down there. But she didn't. She never planned to. Her eyes snapped open. A gasp, sharp, violent. She rolled over and retched black blood into the soil, then pulled herself up hand over hand, using the hybrid's shattered limbs like crutches, and walked. 3 days later, a Terran scouting vessel found her. Unscheduled mission. Just a flyby. The pilot nearly crashed when he saw the signal flare. Burning bright on an uninhabited death world no one was supposed to return from. They opened the hatch, and there she was, covered in scars, eyes sunken, flesh torn open. But still, she walked on her own. Stepped aboard the ship like she had just finished a morning jog, sat in silence, didn't speak until they lifted off. Then she looked the medic dead in the eyes and said, "Burn it." "What?" She pointed back at the planet, barely a dot now in the dark. "That world. Burn it. Salt the orbit. No one goes back." Word spread like wildfire across Terran Command. What she'd done, what she'd fought, and how she won, without a squad, without a weapon, without mercy. The footage leaked. Didn't matter that it was illegal. Didn't matter that half of it was corrupted from energy interference. The galaxy saw enough. The screams, the teeth, the final shot of her standing over 13's corpse, wrapped in bone and blood, one eye swollen shut, still breathing. Still undefeated. And the aliens, they watched it in silence, over and over, eyes wide, minds racing. 1,000 species that once called humanity primitive, that laughed at our emotions, mocked our sentiment, underestimated our rage, now saw the truth. Humans don't need weapons to kill gods. They just need a reason. One envoy from the High Council itself stood before the Galactic Assembly and said what they all feared to admit. We told ourselves they were weak because they cried, because they remembered their dead, because they loved too deeply. We thought that made them soft. He paused, then whispered, but it only made them dangerous. Back on Earth, Mira didn't return to barracks or the command halls. She walked the city alone, past blinking signs and curious children who pointed at her scars. She visited the cemetery, sat beneath a willow tree, held the photo again, her daughter's face, smiling, whole, alive in her memory. A boy passed by, chasing a drone toy through the grass. He laughed as it spun, fell, then lifted again. She watched, and for the first time in years, she smiled. No one knew what she said aloud that day, just a whisper, soft, private, But if anyone had heard her, they would have wept, because it was not a threat, not a curse, not vengeance, just 3 words. That's enough now. The war never came back, because it didn't have to. They knew what would happen if they tried. Aliens watched in horror as a human tore apart an apex predator with her bare hands. And the worst part, the part that kept them awake at night, she wasn't the strongest or the fastest. She was just a mother